I don't know. Have higher standards for yourself. Learn how to cook. People should learn how to cook.
That is a good opportunity too.
Yeah.
Well, what if like you just want to have the feeling of a homemade meal and you're alone?
I don't feel like restaurants make homemade or make food that feels homemade. Even if it's a homemade dish, even like a meatloaf or like a French toast or like a spaghetti and meatballs. Like I never feel like dishes at restaurants feel homemade.
I think some diners can pull it off because it's like a diner.
I think with diners though, there's no in between. I think with diners it's like you go to a restaurant. Let's say you get meatloaf, homemade, diner, and fancy restaurant. The fancy restaurant is obviously trying to like subvert expectations and do all this fancy shit with it, right? The diner is just like, here's your meatloaf. And then at home, you're putting the work in, and if you're an amateur chef, like you're trying to make it good, right? I think at the diner, they're just putting food on the plate to sell it.
It's not made with love.
No, it's watery and just like, here it is. They probably boiled the vegetables. They probably had the meatloaf in the fridge and just like put that in the oven.
Yeah.
And then just threw it on a plate. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, just find a really special diner that can pull it off.
I just think homemade should be literally homemade.
Just stay homemade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just me though. I mean, I know a lot of people. I have a weird palate when it comes to shit like that.
Really?
Yeah, because like, I don't know. I don't like going to restaurants and getting shit like that.
No, I mean, I get it. You want stuff that you can't have normally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you want something that's like, oh, this is like really prepared.
Yeah, I'm paying you all this money.
Yeah. Yeah, you want
Like-
it to be like, oh, well, they really put in a good effort in making this like look really good. It tastes nice. It's
Yeah.
not just, like, some
Like I went to Juju with Brad, and yeah, and
love.
that stuff. If I feel like I'd have to look all that stuff up, go to like the Asian store, get all the ingredients. I feel like that's gonna take a lot of effort on my part to try to replicate at home.
Yeah.
So that's why I go out, because I'm like, this place is gonna make this thing really good. Ramens. You can make a decent ramen at home, but if you go to Domu, you're gonna get a good ramen. That's why I go to a place like Domu and get.
Well,
like
to make a
good,
ramen right, you need to like do it for hours.
right. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go to some place and get like I don't think any restaurant should have just a chicken plate. Just like, here's the grilled chicken. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe if it's like really, like they really went in lemon crusted and you've got all the fixins and the accoutrement that go with it, like a really good chicken. But otherwise, I really don't believe that chicken should just be a plate at a
Grilled.
restaurant.
I will say grilled chicken is usually the worst thing you can pick on the menu.
Yeah.
I'd say even worse than the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the same, but
Yeah.
that exactly.
It's
the
like
safest
it's
item.
the grilled cheese of the menu. You
right,
know?
right.
Yeah.
But how hard is it to make a grilled chicken dish at home? It is. I think after ground beef, grilling chicken is the easiest thing you can do at home.
Some people have a phobia with dealing with chicken, though. Because my friend was like, I hate touching chicken.
Are you talking about him?
Well, no,
I have a phobia of eating raw chicken,
No.
not of the chicken itself.
Adam double cooked our chicken last week because after cooking it and almost burning it, he goes, I think it's still hot.
I didn't almost burn
And then
anything.
he put it back on the cast
It was
iron.
chicken thighs. You almost cannot overcook chicken thighs.
Well, why don't you get a meat thermometer?
I have a meat thermometer.
Why don't you use your meat thermometer?
I don't trust it with
Use your
chicken.
meat thermometer, Adam.
You don't. What do you mean?
No, it's fine. It's I personally like a
Dry
slightly drier chicken. I do. No, genuinely.
Shut up.
No,
Shut up.
Especially chicken breast, when it's too moist, it grosses me out a little bit. If it's too juicy, I'm like, this isn't good for me.
It's because you've been making dry ass chicken
Yeah.
for like 15 years. So now you're like, oh, this is what I prefer. Liar. Liar. Liar.
I mean, this must.
Eating it and went, it's not.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
That's just That is that's paranoia bordering on phobia.
I told him it's fine. Like, I was eating, and I'm like, you're good. And he said, no, we have to.
It was better after I cooked it a little
I'm
more.
sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was.
And it was delicious.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know what? Let's get on rolling into this episode. I'm
Okay.
leaving the chicken discussion.
All right. Let's talk about chicken.
What's up, Brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa. With me, as always, the chicken phobia here. The chicken man.
I'm a chicken for
He's a
chicken.
chicken. Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Bagok?
He's still great and powerful.
Thank you.
Tonight's brew is from Blake's Cider Co. It's the watermelon.
Hard Cider Co.
Hard Cider Co. Thank you. It's the watermelon Heatwave.
Watermelon.
And Obi's going to have a little bit more about that after the break. What's on tap for tonight? Well, we got an update on the WWE Vince McMahon situation. Just a small little update.
Yeah.
You know, the tendrils of this thing are growing and widening, and
Fallout has begun.
So it seems that the first domino, or I should say the second domino, because Vince was the first domino.
Sure.
The second one to fall.
Well, Laurinaitis too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see? We'll talk about
Okay.
that.
All right.
What else do we got?
We also, speaking of controversial figures, apparently Elon Musk is vowing to fund Gina Carano's lawsuit against Disney for her firing in The Mandalorian.
Oh, those Daily Wire checks ain't cashing, huh?
Not like they used to.
Not like they.
I'll tell you what.
And then last but not least, we're going to have a big video game discussion. Microsoft is rumored to be bringing some pretty large titles to other platforms.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, if you're even a little bit into gaming, this is a massive, massive deal.
Yeah.
But probably not as massive as the $1.5 billion that Disney has paid to Epic Games.
Like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. They probably saw that. They probably laughed off this Gina Carano lawsuit.
Yeah.
They're like, "Yo, we got video games to make.
Yeah.
Like, get this out of here. Get out of my face.
Get out of here.
Get out of here." All right, so let's get ripping and rolling. This is episode 415 of the One Beer In podcast. Probably open this beforehand.
Thank you. Cracker open.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 takes me to a place where I fit in.
I'll describe. How about I describe why?
Yeah.
Why
please.
Marco's making those noises.
Tell the people what we're drinking tonight.
This is from Blake's Hard Cider Co. It's called the Watermelon Heatwave. Watermelon and chili hard cider. Comes in at 6.5% ABV. And there is a cold read, at least on the box. Oh, it's also on the can, too. Look at that. Hot days. Spicy nights. What's sweet without a little sizzle? Boring. That's what. So crack open this cider and brace yourself for a tsunami of juicy watermelon with a sneaky hint of chili pepper that'll make you wonder why you ever settled for a basic beverage. Embrace the heat wave anytime, anywhere. Spice level is medium.
Okay. Sure. Excuse me.
So you're saying, why would you do that?
I mean, I get why they did it. I've had like watermelon with like chili powder on it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I get what they were going for. But I'll reserve my opinions until later.
Okay.
They could be good. They could be bad. Who knows? That's why you wait around, or that's why you scrub through the YouTube episode.
You just skip to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First things first. Let's talk about the WWE update. Not a lot to go over. That's why we'll just start with this one.
Sure.
The John Laurinaitis thing. I don't know if you saw what I was bringing up. he is about to jump into this lawsuit and I don't think he's countersuing, but I think he is saying his representatives are saying that he is also a victim.
Yeah.
There
was a statement put out from his attorney saying essentially that, these accusations against me are misplaced because I was also a victim in this situation.
God, I can't wait to hear how he spins this, man. Yeah. That's gonna be some WWE level writing.
Yeah, sure is. I think it's interesting only because it shows that they are not aligned, him and Vince.
Right. Number one, they're not aligned, and number two, he's tacitly implicating Vince,
right,
and saying that like this stuff did happen.
Yeah.
And I was victimized as well. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah. They're all about to eat each other. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Another one who's starting to feel some fallout, which, honestly, I don't think he probably doesn't care if we're being all the way for real.
You don't think?
No, I don't. Brock Lesnar, one of the biggest stars in WWE, I'd say of all time, really, at this point.
And UFC.
Yeah. Who once considered a future first ballot Hall of Famer, a guy who they would probably celebrate and show his clips until the end of time, somebody who they would probably bring back. They would probably pay him as much money as he asked for to bring him back. Mm-hmm. Well, not anymore.
Sure.
Because he was implicated in this lawsuit. We talked about it last week. Former UFC champion. Was somebody who this lady, Janelle Grant, I believe is her name. The accuser, the victim, also said that he was part of this as well. I don't think, from what I read in the lawsuit, Brock was I don't think he actually hooked up with Mrs. Grant. Mm-hmm. I think he was going to. I think he was like, Vince was like bringing him in. He was like, Vince, from what this is paraphrasing, but mm-hmm. Vince asks Janelle to send him nudes basically, and then Vince shows the nudes to Brock. Uh-huh. Then Brock gets Janelle's number, and he's like, I'm trying to slam jam that.
Sure.
And he's like, saying all this lewd stuff to her and all that. And then,
but they never ended up.
But I don't think they ever actually. Yeah, but I do think all this does is if Vince is like, because Brock is a Vince guy, right? Mm-hmm. So if Vince hits up Brock and he's like, "I got one for you," that conversation wasn't like, he didn't just one day be like, "Hey man, I don't know if you're into this or not, but I have this lady,
right,
who I have coerced her into exchanging goods and services for her body,
right."
Are you down? No, this conversation was like, hey, I got another one for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It implies a history of this.
Yeah, of course. There's no way he just woke up one day and was like, I think Brock would be into this too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the odds of that happening are very, very small. We can't say for sure, obviously, because we don't know, but
allegedly.
Yeah, the dominoes are starting to fall, though, and it's very clear that there are far more dominoes aimed at Vince McMahon than there are anywhere else.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't be surprised if Laurinaitis isn't the last of, former cohorts that team up against him and, offer to work with the FBI or anyone else who's local police forces and investigators to either get a better deal or to just see him fall.
Yeah.
Because... yeah, I mean, obviously, if you heard last episode, there's a lot of stuff alleged in this lawsuit. Yeah. So
I really think, I said it on Twitter, but I do think this is going to turn into a class action suit. I think a lot of people are going to come forward now that like the cat's out of the bag, and now that they have like the confidence that Miss Grant has opened the door to this thing and like basically thrown the first stone.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to come forward and be like, hey, yeah, he's a psycho.
Yeah.
So with Brock Lesnar specifically, You're already starting to see the fallout. He has been removed from the cover of 2K24, and WWE 2K, their flagship video game. You know, again, like I said, they're doing like this Road to WrestleMania showcase thing.
Yeah.
And Brock has been a major player in WrestleMania for the past, like, fucking decade, bro. Like, decade and a half, really. I mean, other than when he went to the UFC, when he came back, he pretty much was a mainstay.
Right back to it, yeah.
He is the one who broke the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak.
Yeah.
One of the most shocking things in the history of wrestling. And now, dude, what's crazy about all of this stuff is like when a lot of these dudes are psychopaths, right?
Yeah.
And whenever something comes out about one of them, what people, or what these guys don't understand is like, your actions are not just reflecting on you. They're reflecting on everyone else around you, including the company and your opponents, right? Like Chris Benoit, for instance.
Yeah.
He had a historic WrestleMania win. I think it was either 20 or 22. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it was 20. But he beat Shawn Michaels and Triple H in a triple threat match. Really, really great match.
Yeah.
And now that neither one of those dudes can talk about that match at length because they have to talk about Chris Benoit. But it was one of their best matches.
Yeah, yeah. At least officially. You can't say it like if you're doing a WWE official documentary or something.
Yeah.
And all these guys inevitably, you know, crawl to the podcasts.
Do their shoot interviews.
I don't know who would do that. But I actually...
You're all invited, except for Brock.
Yeah.
I'd have Brock on the show.
Would you?
Ask him those questions. No, I wouldn't.
No.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I would, because I wouldn't. I know I'd ask him one time. So what's up with this lawsuit? And he'd be like, next question. I'd be like, you're right. Sorry about that.
I'm out of here.
And that would be the end of that.
Do you want to see my sword?
No, I would try. See my sword.
Yeah, he's still a huge fan.
He just F5s both of us. So like with Brock Lesnar, now if he gets completely erased from the history books, it's a huge thing that he broke Undertaker's streak. He was the first guy to beat him at WrestleMania. He was 21-0. And then he loses to Brock Lesnar. And if they try to scrub Brock Lesnar from the history books, like, you just can't talk about that.
It's a lot of scrubbing.
Yeah, it's a lot of scrubbing.
Upon further thought on this topic in general, about specifically like scrubbing the history books of WWE from their like worst actors, like the worst people that have been in this sports entertainment game. I don't know if I agree with doing that anymore. And I feel like I was more understanding in the past about like the scrubbing of these people because, obviously it brings down the brand in a way because you're constantly thinking about the horrible things that they did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, are we going to not put movies that have terrible people in them on streaming services?
Well, I mean, some of them.
It's still like I can watch like Seven, right? And still enjoy that movie because there are, as you mentioned, I think it's a good correlation here. There's a lot of good other actors in that. Mm-hmm. There's a great, directing and writing and everything about that movie is also excellent. So like, why throw the baby out with the bathwater in a sense? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I would rather see them keep it in the vault at least for people to access if they want to.
Yeah,
but just don't celebrate it.
Yeah.
I think that's the better of two evils. Really,
I think that's typically what they do. But the problem is like sometimes I think they go a little too overboard. Like on the WWE Network, any match that Chris Benoit again headlined, they just would omit his name. Then you have to go into the thing and like, okay, I remember I thought it was really silly because I was watching WrestleMania. I was watching that match in particular, the triple threat match.
Yeah.
And on the WWE Network, it used to have timestamps.
Oh, okay.
And you could go to the match and be like, and it said, Shawn Michaels and Triple H compete in a triple threat match, and it's like, okay, but triple means 3
with a ghost.
and then that's what it would say on the like description of the event. It'd be like, WrestleMania 20 and blah 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 blah. This person fighting this person, and then it said like, the World Heavyweight Title match, triple threat match between Shawn and Triple H, and then it was like
Voldemort.
So that kind of stuff I think is silly.
Yeah,
I do agree. Like, what do you think is going to happen if you just mention his name?
Sure.
It's fine.
It's part of the history, and I think partially some of that scrubbing leads them to be able to make the same mistakes again.
Yeah.
Not worrying enough about people's mental health, not giving these men and women good enough health care.
Right.
Doing risky things in the ring that you shouldn't be.
Because if you just scrub it and forget about it, you don't learn from those lessons.
Right.
You just pretend like they didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I think ultimately it's disrespectful to, like, either those people if they were hurt or killed themselves, or the families of those people who were hurt or killed. Yeah. Because, it's part of the history. If you don't know the history, then you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I understand that. I mean, specifically, the WWE is a very, like, kid-friendly enterprise at this point.
Yeah.
But still,
I mean, nobody's saying put Chris Benoit on, we don't need to see his matches on live TV.
Right.
Or
make him the legend in 2K.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody needs to play
24.
as him. Like, you don't need to make him a playable character or anything. But pretending like he didn't exist is a silly endeavor. Because the other thing is, and Chris Benoit will never be vindicated, he's a monster, but somebody like CM Punk, for instance, when he comes back to the company and for 10 years you pretended like he didn't even exist, you cut out all of his segments, all of this history that he's had. He's competed at WrestleMania multiple times. He's the only back-to-back Money in the Bank winner. He's made history. He was the second longest in the modern era to hold the WWE Championship until Roman Reigns. So, like, he has a lot of his name is plastered all over their history books.
Yeah.
And then when he goes away for 10 years, you pretend like none of that happens, and then he comes back, and then you just re-upload all that stuff, and it's like it makes you look silly, it makes you look petty, and it doesn't look professional. It just looks like you're emotional and not handling it in a way that, like, Karl Malone is also a monster, but they're not going to take his name. He's number 3 or 4 high scores of all time. You can't just take his name out of the books. Although I do think that they celebrate Karl Malone too much. I guess that was probably a bad example.
I mean, there's a balance here to be found, I think. But yeah, I again am very curious to see where all of the cards lie at the end of this thing, because it seems like we're just getting started.
Yeah. And the thing is, nobody is above. It's like the NFL, man. Like, the way that they look at it is like the NFL is the shield. Nobody is above the shield, right?
Right.
And same thing with the WWE. There's no one wrestler. They've already scrubbed Vince from pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the chairman and the owner for decades.
Yeah.
And they've already scrubbed him. Hulk Hogan, they scrubbed him for a while, and then they just couldn't help themselves. Brought him back.
Saw too much
slowly
money,
but surely. Yeah. So yeah, nobody is above the company.
Yeah.
But also, the company is not above what will make them money. So
it's true.
Yeah.
Capitalism, baby.
Capitalism, baby. Okay. This Gina Carano thing.
Yeah. Speaking of capitalism.
Yeah. Oh, it's just exhausting just thinking about Gina Carano, man.
I haven't for a very long time.
I know.
Yeah.
So, and that's really just one of the most ironic parts about this is, like, the lawsuit is littered with, like, she was a burgeoning star. She was on her way to superstardom, an A-list actress, and then Disney and Pedro Pascal came along and wiped her out. Oh, I love the way that just give the people some context.
So, if you weren't aware, Gina Carano was in The Mandalorian season 1, right?
Yeah.
Was she in 2 as well, or did she get cut after 2? I forget. It's been that long.
It's been.
Yeah, it's been. But regardless,
She was in season 2.
she was in season 2. I thought so. So she went on
Yeah, because
Twitter.
she was on part of the missions with like Bill Burr's character, and like she was definitely in season 2.
Yeah. I thought so. She played Cara Dune.
Cara Dune.
And she went on Twitter, as we so often do, and ended up saying some stuff that wasn't very nice.
She had been saying some stuff, some not so nice stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And it was, she'd post some stuff on Instagram, or she'd post some stuff on Twitter,
Yeah.
where like this thing wasn't just a spur of the moment firing.
Yeah. Rather, I should say she posted on Instagram. You're right. But there's backlash on Twitter with the hashtag Fire Gina Carano. The gist of her Instagram story was that there was a comparison between being a right-wing person and being a Jew during the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And
The implication being that they're one and the same. The persecution is the same.
yeah.
Being
Or-
a mega famous TV star,
Right.
as she's being touted as, according to her attorney, and being a Jew during the Holocaust.
Right.
Same thing.
So, yeah, she went on to deny the comparison. She ended up deleting the story. And, the back and forth that she had about this wasn't sufficient, according to basically everyone on the internet.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, she was, quote, canceled for that distasteful Instagram story.
Yeah. But not just that. I mean, it wasn't just the story. It was a lot of stuff she had been saying. She made fun of trans people. She made fun of people with pronouns in their bios. She made fun of the coronavirus, or people who were taking masks seriously at the time. Like
More like the
this was-
coronavirus. am I right?
Nice, dude. Yeah, this wasn't just that. The IG post was the straw that broke Disney's back.
Right.
But she had been doing this for a minute, getting away with like little things here and there.
Well, she was pretty much doing the right wing grift that a lot of sort of right wing people in the spotlight tend to do, which is that kind of, it's not virtue signaling, it's vice signaling.
Yeah,
Have you heard that phrase?
vice signaling.
Yeah. Or instead of being like, oh, I'm so woke, I love everybody, man. It's like, those guys suck.
Right.
And I don't care that that those guys suck.
Yeah.
I hate trans people. Don't cut that out. Don't clip that out. Don't use it against me. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we can all agree that, a trans woman isn't a real woman, right?
Not me. Don't touch me.
Glad you're covering your own ass. But yeah. I mean, I think it was clear that that's sort of where her beliefs were, but she was part of something bigger than that, and that was really popping off at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of that could be easily like swept under the rug.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let her have her different opinions. It's fine,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough is enough.
Yeah, and
It came to the place where it's like you can't say that without repercussions,
well,
right?
and for a while she would say stuff, and she was starting to split her fan base. There was a lot of people who didn't know much about her, thought she was beautiful, thought she was good in the show, and so that was enough for a lot of people,
Sure.
especially
Being
Star Wars fans.
A tough girl.
Yeah, that's it.
Great.
Former MMA fighter. So she was sexy. She was a badass. And she was in a really popular Star Wars show. Like, for a lot of people, that's enough. And they didn't do their due diligence on being, like, a fan of hers until she starts posting more. And then you're like,
Wait a minute.
well, that's kind of mean thing to do. That's kind of shitty thing to say. And then more and more people are like, hey, Gina, don't say that. And then she would push back and be like, listen, I'm just saying. It was just like that. Like, you know, look, who am I to say? Who am I to judge?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's just my opinion, man.
Yeah,
You know?
trans people aren't people. Who am I to say? Who am I to say? You know, whomst among us?
Right.
Until finally, yeah, they were like, and then she put that post out. She put that post out because of all these other things that she was posting, and people were going, "Hey,"
getting backlash on that.
and then and then that's when she was like, "I'm being persecuted for my beliefs,
right?
Just like the Jews were." And people were like, what? Yeah. And then that's when it finally, the pendulum swung. And it's just so funny that she's like, I can't believe this happened to me.
I should say this is from the Washington Post. Because, again, like I haven't thought about this in probably 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, not a thought in my head.
Yeah. And let me just say, as a fan of the show, she wasn't missed.
They did the Simpsons thing where it's like, she went home.
Yeah.
And just floated up, you know, like that's it. She's gone.
Yeah.
I should say
fine without her.
From the Washington Post. She added this text to a quote, disturbing Nazi era photo, and said, quote, soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews. The government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views?
I don't know, Gina. I can think of a couple of ways that's different.
A little bit, yeah.
Handful of ways that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little different.
Yeah.
Just slightly different.
So it's coming back to me a little bit more now from like at the time. She was cloaking herself, and a lot of her fans that agreed with her point of view were cloaking themselves with the free speech.
Yeah. That's what they all do.
And again, I mean, especially once she was fired from Mandalorian, it became this big thing of like, oh, what happened to free speech? I thought this was America.
Yeah. Like it always happens.
Sure. And I feel like we're saying this until we're blue in the face, but free speech doesn't mean you can't get fired for saying something.
I mean, I just don't understand how many times why we have to have this conversation every time something like this happens. We have to explain constitutional rights versus your rights under a private enterprise. Like at this point I'm just like, you know what, if you don't get it, fuck you, you're an idiot.
I just don't understand how you don't get it without being willfully ignorant about it.
Absolutely.
So that's why I also don't have patience for it anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious what the difference is.
Yeah.
So
it's in plain speech. People have explained it over and over and over again, and every time we get to something like this, it's the same fucking conversation.
Yeah,
it's like, no, if you are intentionally refusing to believe or being obtuse about it, that's on you. But you don't get to go to a court and be like, I didn't get it.
Yeah,
I didn't understand. I couldn't say that kind of thing. It's like, well. The rest of us did.
Her defense was, my words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right-wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me.
Well, when people say stuff like that, it's not as if we can't just go back and look at your social media, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't it's one thing if it's a private conversation between you and another person and it's he said, she said, and that person is saying that you said something that you didn't say, and then you could have that kind of defense of like, my words were twisted, that's not what I meant. Yeah. But this is social media, and since celebrities can't help themselves but post on social media, they share a lot of shit that they believe.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, they wake up at 3 a.m. and they're like, I'm gonna post this Nazi meme because you know,
it's funny.
And then you wanna wake up later in the day and be like, oh, that's not what I meant by that. It's like, yeah. I don't. How else could you have meant that? How else could you have meant? There was one really silly one, but it's still like really. It's she put I think she put beep boop in her bio, making fun of people who put pronouns.
Oh, I see.
And people,
that's very funny.
Yeah,
it's good.
Exactly. And people
I
were
identify
like,
as a attack helicopter.
Attack helicopter. And people were like, Gina, that's not funny. Like the people put pronouns in their names for a reason. Like there's like you're being willfully ignorant of like why people are doing this stuff, and it's starting to get clearer and clearer about your beliefs. surrounding trans people and non-binary people and people who don't, see themselves reflected in their gender spectrum and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So like, what's the punchline there? What's the punchline there? What's supposed to be funny about that?
Yeah.
And some people were like, oh, it's just a silly little joke, but it's like, but what's the joke? What's the punchline? That trans people don't exist, that trans people's existence is silly. Like, yeah. So it's stuff like that where she's like, it was a joke and it was misconstrued. And it's like, but
it's just
Gina,
a prank, bro.
How, yeah. And it's like, how else could it be if your prank is punching people in the face and then running away, and then you're like, it was just a prank. Well, you still did the thing. I don't really understand what the joke is.
Right.
What's the prank?
Well, then even within this article, like another one of her responses kind of, I don't know, contradicts what she's trying to say by like, you guys just didn't get what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't against certain people.
Yeah.
Because again, in this Washington Post article, on social media, she said that her co-stars were not disciplined for sharing their political views against Republicans on social media, quote, even though some would find their statements abhorrent.
So you admit that people find your statements abhorrent,
sure,
and could be misconstrued or construed as abhorrent.
Right. But it sounds to me like she knows exactly what her statements were saying.
Right.
Because...
So she's just saying the other side.
She's saying, if you guys are supporting LGBTQ plus people, I cannot do that. Right.
And if you're gonna punish me for my beliefs, you should punish everybody.
If you believe Black Lives Matter, maybe I don't.
Right. So why am I being punished?
Yeah. Right.
Just my beliefs, dude.
So, fast forwarding quite a bit to this year. Apparently, this is bubbling back up because Elon Musk promised that anyone who was unfairly treated based on something that they said on X, he would fund an attorney, I guess.
Yeah.
A case.
Yeah.
For them.
He flat out said he would pay their legal fees for anybody who was fired or I think it was just anybody who like lost their job over something that they said on Twitter.
Yeah.
He said he would pay their legal fees. So now the X Twitter, they actually came out with a statement saying that like they're definitely helping her with the lawsuit.
Yeah. So it's not, I don't think, surprising that he would want to do that.
Yeah.
Given sort of the trajectory he's been on, especially after the purchase of X. Yeah. Strangely enough, it seems like that was I don't know if it was a catalyst, but it was definitely like the starting point of his turn to the right politically. And this is very, and again, check out this Washington Post article. Because they spelled out pretty clearly, it's like ever since DeSantis did it, going up against Disney is like a right-wing grift in itself. Yeah. Being anti-Disney. Yeah. Because they're woke and whatnot. And that seems just to be the reason why, other than like his, First Amendment kind of demagoguery on X, that seems to be why he would be interested in doing this in the first place. Yeah. It's just because he wants to, be that guy to heed the cries of the right wing.
He's been on this immigration thing for a while too now.
Really? I haven't seen any of that.
Past couple of weeks, he's been on this big immigration kick. Yeah, or anti-immigration kick, really. He says he's not anti-immigration. He's anti-illegal immigration. He does the right-wing thing of like, they're swarming our borders. Yeah. Thousands and thousands of them a day. We can't stop this flood of people coming over the border.
It's an invasion.
It's an invasion.
Yeah. It's a tactical invasion.
And then he's like, I support legal immigration. I want these guys to get over the border and then register their name. Yeah. That's all I want. And also voter fraud. He's been doing a lot of voter fraud stuff.
He's hitting all the hits.
Yeah. I mean, election year, you gotta
start hitting the hits. Yeah. The hits of election year, voter fraud, putting razor wire in the water.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Good idea.
So this lawsuit, they finally so she's bringing a suit against Disney, Lucasfilm, and I think it's just Disney and Lucasfilm, right?
Yeah.
this is where it gets fun. Okay, she wants $75,000 in back pay. Just like, damn, you wouldn't get paid shit for that show.
Yeah, no.
She also wants to be recast. She wants to be put back in the show.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure everyone would love that after she threw everyone under the bus.
Dude, can you imagine being like, you got fired from a job and everybody, like, everyone was happy you're gone, and like, no, everyone was like, yeah, that person kind of fucking sucked. And then by some happenstance, you get the job back, or you fight for the job back. You don't just get it back, you fight for it.
Yeah. It's legally mandated that you have to get that job back.
And then you're just shoulder to shoulder with people who are like, ugh, why are you here? We hate you.
I thought you were gone.
You suck. Oh man, that part of the excuse me, lawsuit made me laugh out loud. I was like, that's so funny. Because she knows. She got fired, right?
Yep.
She went on her unjustly fired thing, and then, you know, Ben Shapiro's mousy ass comes squeaking in. He jumps in and he's like, come over to the Daily Wire.
Come over to the Daily Wire.
Daily Wire. And we'll fund your movies. We'll put you in a bunch of movies. You know, we'll show the world that you're a star, and that, you know, you can be right wing and be a star.
Yeah.
We're gonna make you into this big movie star that you deserve to be. And then those movies went double wood. And now she's like, I need that fucking Disney money, dog. Yeah. And there was one report where, like, she was at some con and people were like, ugh, the Gina Carano table. And she sat there for hours and not a person came up and talked to her.
Uh-huh.
And then that's when, I think that was like the catalyst for her going like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like, we're going after Disney. Called her attorney crying. Like, this is bullshit. I mean, I don't know. I would say that if there was ever a time where a person couldn't be just conservative or right leaning, and they lost their job because they were just conservative, I would feel bad for that person, because that's you can, you know, that would be, I think that would be, I shouldn't say unjust, because you're working as a contractor. It's an at will. You sign a contract, and you know, if you're I think I don't know, like, where, I guess California is where Disney and Lucasfilm are based out of, as far as like tax information and like all that stuff. You're an at will employee, right? So they can fire you for anything. You don't have to be. They don't have to have. It's going to be very difficult, just from a legal standpoint. I was just like reading like lawyers and stuff talking about it. From a legal standpoint, it's going to be very difficult for her to prove that, or not to prove, because you don't have to prove unjust. You can't sue a company for unjustly firing you in an at-will state, because they don't need to justify firing you.
Sure.
They can just be like, listen, it's not working out. You're gone.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you can quit for any reason too. You don't have to give a reason. You could just stop showing up for work, and that's how that works.
True.
So it's going to be very difficult for her to win this lawsuit, because it's like, what are you going to say? Like, if Disney doesn't want to work with you anymore, you're in a state where they can just decide not to work with you anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have to give a reason. You may think, if you can prove that there was internal documents that said we fired her because she's conservative or because she's a woman, then yeah, you have a lawsuit on your hands. But otherwise, it's just really, your performance could be enough. And by the way, she's not a very good actress. So, and like, it could have, they very well, and I'm not saying that is their excuse, obviously, but I'm saying they very well could just go into the courtroom and be like, she's not a very good actress. We fucked up. We shouldn't have cast her.
Sure. I mean, I think even if she was fired for just being, quote, a right-leaning person, from the things that she had said up to that point of her firing, that's enough for them to easily say, all right, let's pull up that tweet, this Instagram thing. This all is why. And it's because the way we interpret, and a lot of other people have interpreted, what you wrote here was anti-Semitic. It was, anti-trans, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And those are things we consider fireable offenses.
Yeah.
That's it. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they would even try to get away with this.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I think maybe her lawyers just think like the controversy and the attention that she's going to get from this may
PR, that's it.
Yeah. But again, it's like I think she kind of got to the top of the mountain when it comes to like right-wing entertainment. I don't know who else you're going to go to. Like you've got the Daily Wire funding your $1 million projects to do your westerns and your I don't know. And none of that worked out for you, and it's just like that's pretty much it. It's over. I'm sorry, it's over.
Yeah.
It's done.
She
you want that little measly $75,000 bag. I mean, she's probably in a tough way right now.
She could try to get into politics.
Yeah, that's probably the next step.
Yeah,
that's probably the next step.
Or become one of these recurring pundits on, Fox or News Nation or whatever.
Right. She can be on Gutfeld.
Yeah. Gutfeld.
Yeah, she could be the new woman on there. The new
the other woman.
Yeah. Well,
get rid of the glasses woman. We need a tough chick.
Yeah. The glasses. No. You got to get rid of the old one because the glasses chick is hot.
Okay.
So you keep the pretty one. You get rid of the old one. You bring in the
take her out to pasture. Leave her to the libs.
and then
where they respect women.
And then that's what you do. That's what she's gonna do. I mean, she very well could run for like any kind of like small government thing and probably win in a conservative state.
Yeah.
I mean, if Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, a professional wrestler, can win in Tennessee, she could certainly find some uber conservative state and run out of there and the grift just keeps on grifting.
Sure.
So, but her
point.
career in entertainment is probably over. Most likely, I can't really see a comeback.
At least in Hollywood, I would say. I don't think anyone's going to bring her back.
Man, she missed the boat on the Sound of Freedom. Man, she should have.
Oh yeah.
If only she could have been a part of that.
Oh yeah. Maybe they'll make a sequel.
Yeah.
She can be the new avenging child saver.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's just that.
Or is that too liberal to make a sequel with a female lead?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you even?
Or
solve
maybe
that conundrum?
that's how they twist it. They're like, look, we're not scumbags. It's a female lead.
Yeah, it's a female lead in our movie. Like, look at us.
Yeah.
They really should be looking at people like Gina Carano and doing stuff like that. She's perfect. I mean, she's everything that you could want in that as far as her look is concerned.
Yeah.
If you want to make movies like that,
look, it's so easy, guys. It's so simple. It's so simple. You can use like that $1 million budget, make a super strapped down like straight up action movie with her. Guns, fighting, all that stuff. Bloody, gory. I don't know. Have it be about her assassinating some dictator in the Middle East or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like make Extraction but with her on a much smaller budget.
Yeah.
And it could like seep into the mainstream. Mm-hmm. You don't have to make it all about like, well, this is about a trans woman that is trying to steal your babies.
Yeah. It's always those weird undertones that they can't seem to let go of.
It's overtones though. It's what they're doing.
Right.
They're so like they can't help themselves. Like you can be sneaky about it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why conservative and right-leaning writers and directors like just write your movie, but they stuff it full of like these oddly weird, like very overt and liberal filmmakers do the same thing. So it's not like, but and that comes off as corny too, especially when it's too obvious, when it's just like when there's no nuance, there's no subversion, there's no like thought behind it. It all comes off bad. But if a liberal is trying too hard to spread their message, the message is usually a message of Black Lives Matter, listen
Equality
to
for
women.
all.
It's always, and if it's an overt message and it's to hit you over the head and obvious and it's not
preachy.
good writing, it's preachy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the message is that
Generally
respect
good.
people
Yeah.
and a lot of times with right-leaning messages, the message is like, I want to go back to when America was good.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this new world that I'm living in. I look around and I see hipsters and women with pink hair and people that I can't identify their gender. Why won't they show me their genitalia? Ah! And that's your overt message.
Right.
It's like, don't.
What bathroom are you using?
Right. You don't get why the jokes don't land in your movie.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think overall we can all agree. Don't be too preachy. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, make a good movie.
Yeah.
Make a good TV show. Whatever you're gonna do, make it nice.
Yeah.
Make it
nice.
Make it nice.
Make it nice.
I'll make it
Hey,
nice.
make it nice. Make it nice.
Yeah.
Make it nice.
But yeah, I don't see this going anywhere. I mean, even with all the money that Elon's promising, I don't really see where. And I'm no legal expert here, but I just don't logically, unless there's some legal loophole that they know about that I don't see how this makes any sense on paper.
And honestly, I don't see Elon putting up as much money as he's promising.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Yeah.
He's doing this. This is what he does. He just
A lot of yapping.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of yapping.
Right. I mean, that's actually another good question I want to ask. What do you think Elon's endgame is here? Because he's clearly like drawn a line in the sand.
Yeah.
For who he is, what his beliefs are, for better or worse. He's made a lot of fans because of it, and a lot of enemies because of it too. Like, what do you think his endgame is with this whole like shift to the right? And he may have had these beliefs the entire time, but he was not as outspoken as he is now, for sure.
Well, I think that that's the case. I think he always had these beliefs, and I think now that he owns Twitter, he can say whatever he wants, and like who's gonna stop him, right?
Yeah.
I think number one, that's a big thing. I think now that he's on a social media platform that he owns, he can say whatever he wants, and nothing can be done about it.
Yeah.
Right. Before, if he said something too crazy, his account could get banned.
Sure.
So you're looking around and you're looking at all the people that you listen to and trust and believe in, and you're looking at them say crazy things, and then their account's getting banned. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, that. Number two, I think now that he's kind of come out as who he's been more overt about his beliefs. I think that once you do that, I think once the controversy kind of settles, once you get canceled and then uncanceled and whatever, your fan base kind of shakes out to what it's going to be. Mm. Look at Louis, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Louis is still mega popular with a certain sect of
Sure.
comedy fans. After all of this stuff shook out, he's still making millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Obviously not as popular as he was or ever will be. But, so I think that's... The thing is, once he started saying this stuff, and then he started, all these people who thought he was Tony Stark realized he's not, and we're like, oh, okay, we turn on him, and it's like, oh, this guy's actually a moron. All those people, if you have millions of people going, oh, you're not actually as smart as I thought you were, you're an idiot, and then on the other side, you've got all these people going, yeah, man. Same, totally. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're the fucking man. You're the best. And he's got all these reply guys, and why wouldn't you just continue to regurgitate that same message to those same people?
Sure.
People always say that liberals are in an echo chamber, but I think everybody's really in their own sort of echo chamber, because you don't. How often do you want to go in a space where you have to argue with people, unless you're a combative person?
Sure. Yeah.
But if you're not, and you just want to be safe. People always make fun of safe spaces, but conservatives want safe spaces too.
Sure.
They just don't say it the same way. A conservative won't say, I want to be in a safe space. But a conservative person does want to go to a bar where they can get a beer, not a Budweiser.
Not a Bud Light, that's for sure.
And they can talk to people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
That, I'm sorry to say it, is a safe space.
Sure. Yeah.
For you to be who you want to be around people who believe the thing that you believe.
I think the difference here is that it's a safe space for them, but because they lash out at other people, it's not a safe space for others. So they feel like it's a dangerous space.
Well, right. Yeah. Right.
Which goes both ways, mind you. Like if you're in like, I don't know, San Francisco and you're at a gay bar and you walk in, wearing a Trump hat.
Right. It's not a safe space for you.
It's not a safe space.
And
Right.
that's the very definition of safe spaces.
Right.
You're going outside of your safe
It's
space
safe
and you're going
for
into
you.
dangerous. Yeah. So that's not. Yeah. So you don't get to make fun of safe spaces. You want to be in one.
Sure.
You don't want to go to a gay bar
we-
and be combative and fight with
Yeah.
people and be zeroed out in those places. You're not welcome in those places.
Yeah. And I think, see, the thing is, I hate to like kind of draw a line in the sand myself between liberals and conservatives because, obviously we both have more liberal or more conservative friends, family, et cetera, et cetera. Not trying to, cast everyone as one thing or another. But I'd say at large, the difference is, and it's, I think, demonstrable, that liberals tend to be more accepting of others as opposed to conservatives. By definition alone, being liberal about something means, hey, I could give it or take it. Come on over. Let's see how we hang out.
Right.
And I think that's one of the main cornerstones of, quote, liberalism that I will always identify with, which is like, I would rather have people challenge my opinions and maybe learn something as opposed to just be combative with someone and not listen to their opinion.
Right.
And never talk to someone that's not like me, I think liberalism tends to lean more towards a live and let live society, as opposed to conservativism, which, in my opinion, tends to lean more towards these are the rules. This is what good means. This is what bad means. Where do you sit?
Yeah.
I
would say, just as playing devil's advocate, conservatives would say the exact same thing on their end. That, hey, listen, I believe what I believe. You believe what you believe. We can all sit at the same table. The problem is you want to force your beliefs on me. And that's where we fight. Because I believe that God should be in school and you don't. And that's fine. But when you want to force your atheism on me, that's when I got to push back.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you could make that argument on both ends, depending on the person.
Right. That's true. However, you Anna, even in that argument, the forcing of the religious beliefs in itself is what you're saying you're trying to fight against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that doesn't
work.
work.
The core belief is the problem.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, like you still don't like this person for this reason.
Right. Or you don't like what they're doing, which is a nice way of saying you don't like them.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is like I don't like the argument of like I'm a conservative person. That means I am religious and I don't think that gay people should get married.
Yeah.
And that's just my belief.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. And you're supposed to be like, well, I mean, that's just their belief.
Well, look,
who am I to tell them not to believe that?
Look, here's the deal, man. For me personally, if you want to feel that way, God bless you. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life the way you are. But I can't help but feel inherently that you're walking around thinking that gay people are evil, are bad.
Right.
You have an assumption about them.
Right.
Whereas me as a liberal person is not walking around going, every conservative is racist. Every conservative is anti-LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're a fiscal conservative. I don't know. Like I'm willing to have that conversation and judge you based on that. But I will judge you if you don't believe trans people are real.
Right.
Or whatnot.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like it's a vice versus virtue signaling. I'd much rather be virtue signaling between the two if I had to choose one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to bring it back to Elon Musk, I do think that like the end game there is to remain around people opposite of what you're saying. They're already fans of his so he can just be the king of this land that he's created or bought.
Yeah.
and I can't even say cultivated because he's only made it worse. But I at the end of the day, like, he can remain at the top of this mountain, and no matter what happens beneath him, he's always going to have his fan. I think I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert in any one field, but just looking at him and what he does and what he says, I think he so desperately wants to be liked.
Sure.
And I think once he lost that side of the aisle of people like us who years ago, I mean, I have rap lines where I would compare myself to Elon Musk,
Sure,
thinking
yeah.
like this guy was a genius.
Right. It's like old Trump lines.
Yeah. Exactly. Once you lose those people, it's like, well, you're never going to get them back. And I think that hurt him.
Sure.
I think he has become more aggressive in his beliefs because so many people who touted him as this Renaissance man have turned on him.
Yeah.
Now he's like, oh, well, you know what? Well, fuck you then. And I think he was hurt by that. And I think that now he's like, he's never going back. And the people who liked his opinions once he started saying crazier and crazier things, he was like, oh, well, these are my people. These people listen to me. These people love me. Because again, when you talk about echo chambers, like he just replies to the
interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think there's a real end game in mind. He doesn't seem like a guy who has an end game. He seems like a guy who's just like, well, these people, it's kind of like Trump. I think Trump is the same way. I think that once he started saying things and a certain crowd reacted to it, he was like, oh, well, I'll just keep talking to them.
These are my people.
Yeah, it's like going out. It's like being a barker 100 years ago, and you're talking to a crowd of 30, 40, 50 people. You gather around, and you start trying to sell your snake oil.
Yeah.
Once this 15 people walk away because they're like, you're full of shit,
Right.
then you go, well, fuck them anyway.
Yeah.
And then you've got 30 people
Yeah.
here going like, I'll take some.
And the ones left are like foaming at the mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're like, oh, these are my people,
Yeah.
and I can come back every week and sell snake oil to these people, and they will buy.
And go, fuck those guys, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, fuck
Exactly.
those guys.
So
Give me more of that snake oil.
yeah, I don't think anybody's really trying to reach across the aisle when it comes to that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think well, it's gonna be fun to see how this lawsuit plays out because they are. Is she dressed like Belle and Snow White? What is that outfit?
Kinda. Yeah, kinda.
This is just distracting. Yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see how that plays out because, Disney and Lucasfilm by extension have much bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah.
They're moving on to bigger and better things, like I don't know, $1.5 billion invested into Epic Games, the company that created Fortnite. And they're just like, I get. Well, okay, let's just. I'm frustrated by this a little bit
Okay.
because if you couldn't tell,
Use your words.
because the more and more I think about it, is like, all right, is Disney gonna pay Epic to make Lucas games or Lucas art? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they gonna? What is all of this for? This is $1.5 billion to just have more and more Disney characters and Star Wars characters in Fortnite? Because there's only so much that Fortnite can. I know that it's this thing that makes millions of dollars a year.
It's a juggernaut, yeah.
I know. I get that. I understand why you would invest money into a company like that. I get that. But the potential of Fortnite it only goes so far. No matter how many cool characters and funny things that you do, Goku and Peter Griffin fighting on the same map is silly and fun and fantastic. I'm not hating on that.
Yeah.
But the game is a third person battle royale shooter.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's nothing else to it.
Well, here's the thing: is from what I understand, this purchase is, it says right here in Ars Technica, for an equity stake in the gaming conglomerate Epic Games.
Wow.
So they're going to, quote, collaborate on all new games, so not just Fortnite, and entertainment universe that will further expand the reach of beloved Disney stories and experiences. So it sounds like, yeah, it's kind of like a buy-in to say, use this money to start developing new games for us. So Disney properties like Epic, you guys know what you're doing with games, figure it out.
Yeah.
Here's some cash to throw at this problem. You know?
See, I'm with that. I'm okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't believe that this is a buy-in. This is a buyout, baby. Oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
you think that 1.5 is just a start?
Yeah.
Disney will own Epic Games in the next 3 years. Mark my words. They will own.
They're dipping a pinky.
Oh
in there.
yeah. Disney will own Epic Games in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Put a timestamp on it. Disney will own Epic Games.
Maybe.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Maybe.
1.5 buy-in, and then they're just gonna go, you do it. Fuck no. Fuck no.
Well, to put this in perspective, which I didn't realize this myself, but Epic, as of 2022, was valued at $32 billion.
Wow. Holy shit.
I don't know.
I still think, because I mean, what's 35? if the company's worth 32 to a company like Disney.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is a testing ground to be like, what can you guys do with this? And if it works out, it works out. If not, then we'll see. I don't want to see that happen because I would be worried that one umbrella would be in control of all Disney properties. That seems like it'd be limiting
for the games.
Yeah. I prefer more of what they've done before, which is like, well, at one time EA had full rights to Star Wars, for instance, but like, kind of bouncing around to the developers that they like for a specific project.
Yeah.
But I mean, that being said, Epic's big enough, obviously, to do strange things and kind of do whatever they want to do with that money.
Yeah.
So
what else has Epic done outside of Fortnite?
That's a good question. I mean, that's obviously their biggest.
I know that they have a lot of mobile gaming stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, have they done anything like significant as far as like a AAA title?
Epic Games. Games.
Epic Game.
Epic Games.
This looks like a lot of bullshit.
Well, they were with the entire Unreal Engine stuff, so there's tons of games here technically.
Yeah.
Let's go to their website.
Yeah.
Let's go to their website.
Yes. Yes.
Well, they have. See, it's confusing because they have their own game store, so they sell games themselves through their own game store as well. So they're making money off that. Fortnite, Rocket League, Fall Guys.
They made Rocket League?
Apparently.
Huh.
And yeah, they have the Unreal Engine. You can create in Fortnite MetaHuman, Twin Motion, Reality Scan, Reality Capture, all those tools to use to make your game. So they're making money off that.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that Epic doesn't make. I mean, it's clear that they have a very good business model.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about, like, as you said about EA, if Disney says, so we're going to let you guys make these next couple of games, see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know that Epic can actually do it and not just do a bunch of third-person shooters that look like fucking Fortnite.
Yeah. Yeah. That's...
And what kind of games are they trying to make with Disney properties?
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be, like, platformers for kids with, like, Mickey Mouse and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I don't know. I mean, there's tons of potential. If you're looping in everything Disney, like, I don't know. I could see them maybe vying for like a sports deal for ESPN.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
They could do obviously Star Wars.
Honestly,
Indiana
okay, let's stop
Jones.
beating around the bush. The only thing I care about is Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
That's all I'm really concerned with. Oh, I guess all the Marvel stuff too. We're forgetting about all the Marvel stuff. They could do a shit ton of
Marvel's
stuff with
huge.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Because they're a publisher. They're not a developer.
yeah.
So actually, they worked on or they published Alan Wake 2. So
Okay.
as of recent as Alan Wake 2.
okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Maybe I was unfamiliar with your game, Epic Games.
Oh, I mean they've been in the game forever since like MS DOS days.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, they've
Okay. All right. Okay.
Been around for a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean
okay.
I'm interested to see what they do with this collabo.
It's a huge deal.
Huge.
Maybe not as huge as the rumors with Microsoft.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That's pretty big.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Big
So
deal.
Microsoft. There are rumblings across the internet,
Rumblings and bumblings.
and far too many people have been talking about this for it to be at least 100% untrue.
Yeah.
That a lot of Microsoft's original games are going to be coming to PlayStation and other platforms in the near future.
Buddy.
So, yeah, it immediately caused a lot of fanboys, Xbox fanboys. Let's not mince words here.
Yeah.
To start screaming.
I can't believe how upset
They
somebody.
were so mad.
I am at this stage a pretty big Sony person.
Yeah,
But if you told me that like you could get Sony exclusives on the Xbox, I wouldn't even read that article. It wouldn't even register on something that I was concerned
And
with. Who cares?
it's
You want less people to be able to play games?
it is
You fucking nerds.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. I think it is indicative of where Xbox as a place to play games is right now, though.
Yeah.
Because there aren't many originals on Xbox that you can't find, at least on PC.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I think the fan base is kind of rabid for their own proprietary, like, this is our thing. This is an Xbox only thing.
Again, that's so silly. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a child, I get saying that. If you're a grown man, I mean, dude.
Well,
you need to-
I think the problem is a lot of our generation were children when like the gaming wars started.
Yeah.
Of yore.
Oh yeah, we are children of the console wars.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
survived.
Right. We're veterans of
Yeah.
the console wars. I think a lot of people of our generation and maybe a little bit younger grew up and didn't grow out of that sort of mentality, which is really dumb.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad that you're an
Yeah.
adult and you care
you
that
care that
what
much
other
about it.
people are doing.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Let's just let other people play games.
And if you're upset about, your console not delivering the exclusives that you want, just get the other console when you can.
I mean, yeah, being upset about it'd be one thing if Spencer was like Phil Spector. If he came back from the dead,
Yeah.
and he was in the studio and he was like, "Listen, we are going to remove these games from Xbox and put them on PlayStation." Then yeah, sure, I get the vitriol.
Yeah.
But just being like, yeah, these other people are going to be able to play this game too. It's like, you sound like such a baby. Like, no, they can't play. You said only we could have that, and now you're giving it to everybody else.
What does it matter?
What does it matter?
What does it matter other than you having buyer's remorse and being like,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
you guys told me that I could only play, Halo on Xbox, so I bought an Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But if you're upset about that, then you're very clearly not an Xbox fan. You were a fan of maybe that one game, and
Sure.
you were a fan of the idea of like being able to play that game, and you being the only one to be able to play that game, or you
Yeah.
and other Xbox fans. But you're clearly not a fan of Xbox if they tell you that other people can have this thing, and then you go, "Well, I wouldn't have bought one if I didn't. If you were gonna fucking give it to everybody else anyway."
Yeah.
You know how shitty that sounds? It's like,
just
all right,
so-
you fuck you.
Yeah, it's really, really dumb, and I don't even want to give it more attention, honestly, because I can't fight with crazy.
Yeah.
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 And to me, that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But people got upset enough that Phil Spencer himself came out on Xbox on X
on Xbox
and said, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." So that to me tells me this is true. It's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I should say too that it's not just PlayStation. They're also planning on putting games on Switch as well.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Enough with the negativity. Let's talk about the positives. This is awesome for PlayStation people.
I am very happy that people who only have one console, and that's a lot of people. These consoles aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Are going to be able to play some of the stuff that was locked away to them.
Yeah. I just want to play Starfield, man.
Yeah, there you go.
I want Starfield.
Yeah.
I thought that Starfield was a multi-platform, and it wasn't, and I was so upset.
It's multi-platform. It's PC and Xbox.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
But if the rumors are true and they bring Starfield to PlayStation, I mean, that's the first game I'm buying.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
stuff like
want it.
another one that was like one of the first that was rumored was Hi-Fi Rush. And if you PlayStation guys haven't played that, awesome game. Very, very cool. So yeah, there's been a lot of rumors going up to even like, you know, the true original Xbox games like Gears and Halo.
Dude, Gears on PlayStation, that's unheard of. I can't even fathom
Yeah.
seeing the PlayStation logo and then Gears
Yeah.
coming up. Like, what?
And then Xbox Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Wild.
it is a good thing for everyone if they go forward with this.
Yeah.
And even if they just start testing the waters like PlayStation did with PC, like putting their games on PC, like every once in a while dropping another game that was formerly exclusive. I don't see a downside because, you know, the product that Xbox has been selling for the past like 5 years hasn't even really been the consoles. It's been Game Pass.
Right.
We've talked about the value of Game Pass and it being incredible. So this feels like one step closer to getting Game Pass everywhere
Yeah.
and making it a subscription service everywhere.
Yeah.
And that seems more lucrative because like from what I've read and what I've heard other people talk about in the industry, Game Pass as it stands right now isn't as lucrative as it should be.
Yeah.
It loses money actually. So if you can flip that sort of program and make it so that it's open to everyone, anyone who can possibly download a game can get on Game Pass. I think that could be their key to success in the future, you know?
And lucrative for them means lucrative for Xbox fans because like Xbox is being outsold almost 3-1 right now when it comes to consoles.
Yeah.
Xbox has clearly lost the console war. If you want to go back to this, you know, us versus them thing,
Yeah.
y'all lost. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. So if you want this next Xbox to be worth anything, this is a huge thing. Like if they can start making, because when the rumors started coming out that they were going to take Call of Duty off of PlayStation, it was like, not only does that suck for people on PlayStation, but also that wouldn't be a good deal for Xbox.
No.
That's a huge thing. That's a massive, massive market. They must have looked at the bottom line and was like, that's fucking
Yeah, we
stupid.
can't do that. We can't do that.
How much money they would have lost by doing that
Well-
just to appease these fucking nerds who get upset about exclusivity?
Well, it's not just that, but it's also the math you have to do that shows the value of you keeping that exclusive to your platform and having people need to buy your platform to get it.
Right. But
So-
nobody's buying it.
Right. And so I think they did do the math and go, all right, we're not going to get this many more people to buy an Xbox just for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No. Because
So-
if you're somebody who already had a PlayStation and then let's say the next year they take Call of Duty off and make it an Xbox exclusive, do you really think people are going to pay $60 more to play the game that they already were playing?
Yeah.
Or I guess 70 at this point.
Yeah.
And then another 500 on top of that for
Right.
the console to play it? Are
Right,
you out of
right.
your mind?
Yeah.
Call of Duty ain't that It ain't that popular.
Right. And on top of that, Xbox doesn't have the exclusives currently to demand that.
Right.
Like if there was a new Halo and a new Gears that were like,
critically acclaimed,
critical darlings that were must plays, and people were already like kind of teetering on edge, sure, maybe Call of Duty could be that straw that breaks the camel's back. But where they stand right now, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So, I think it makes the most sense for them to go that route and to start, expanding the base of people who buy their products. And, especially for like online games, it's a direct win-win for people who only have Xbox because, you have a more lively base of people to play with. I don't see a downside. I really, as a fan, as a gamer, I don't see
as a gamer girl
to any of this really.
Nope.
So I'm crossing my fingers that this is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that would be awesome. That would be very, very cool. And I think long overdue.
Yeah. This all this stuff should be. It's silly at this point.
Yeah.
So everybody should just power to the gamers. Isn't that Microsoft's thing, or is whose is that? Power to the gamers. Or is that Blockbuster?
Or is it GameStop?
GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop.
Yeah.
Power to the gamers. Well, yeah.
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 Unless you're trying to trade something in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
No.
Okay. I think we got it as far as this episode is concerned and all the things that we were going to talk about.
I have to get another one.
Yeah, I still have.
It's not enough.
No, it's fine. I think I might dump this out.
Hey, no spoilers.
Okay, before we get into the beers, we got one more thing to do,
Beer.
and that is give you guys our cheers of the week. So, Obi, you want to start us off and let the people know, what's rocked your socks this week?
My cheers of the week goes to Persona 3.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. A very special relationship with Persona 3. It's the first Persona game I played, which is actually true for a lot of people. I found a lot of people didn't play 1 and 2. But I played 3, the special version of it with more gameplay and stuff in it called FES or Fez. And it was awesome. It's like a reintroduction for me to the JRPG. Because, like many other people of my generation, I kind of, speaking of Xbox, kind of went over to more of the first-person shooter side of things, the Gears of War side of things for a while. And then I came back home. To the nerdy-ass 120-hour JRPG. And, I just got completely absorbed into it, into the life sim elements of it, the friendships and bonds that you can build, and the Pokemon elements of it, and the dungeon crawling elements of it. It all just worked like a symphony. Speaking of the music, incredible. Incredible. And then I got to the final boss, couldn't beat it on first blush. So I need to grind a little more, but kind of left it because I'd played already literally 120 hours.
Right.
Or something. Something insane. And so I left it for a while. And then I'd mentioned this on the show before, but unfortunately, I let a friend of the show, Greg, borrow my PlayStation 3. And it got stolen from him.
Tough.
So I was about as blue-balled you could possibly be in a game. And so I had been always looking for an excuse to play it again, but it's such an investment that I'm I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah.
And so I've been waiting, and then rumors came out that there was going to be a remake. And lo and behold, it is here. And it is gorgeous. It is perfect. I love, like, it feels like putting on an old pair of shoes that you forgot about.
Yeah.
They just fit so well. Graphically, it's completely updated. They did a bunch of new voice acting in it, new animations. They redid the soundtrack, but in the same spirit of the original, which is awesome. Like, it has the whole 9 yards, and I'm just thrilled having a joyous experience, and it's great to be back, and I can't wait to finally beat this game. I'm dying.
Something that's been just out of reach.
It's been itching at me for, probably 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just so happy to have it, and it's like, it's everything I could have hoped for.
All right.
So, and what sucks is
Such a nerd.
Final Fantasy VII Part 2 is coming out the end of the month. So
Yeah.
it's going to be busy.
Yeah. It's going to be a busy month for you.
Not going to see me for a while.
Yeah.
Cherry.
Yeah.
No dates.
No more dates.
Only waifu dates. I'm sorry.
Dates canceled.
I have to I got to go back and read and finish Final Fantasy VII. I picked it back up and my for some reason that the game file didn't transfer over to my PS5.
Oh no.
So I have to just start over. And it's like being halfway up the mountain and then stopping for a while and be like, I'll just take a break here.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and you're back at the bottom and you're like it just feels like I could have finished the half.
Yeah.
But doing it again is just scary to me. It's
hard.
just like a daunting
Yeah.
thing. So I'm like not looking forward to it, but I do want to pick it back up and actually finish it so I can play Rebirth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, right? The second one's called Rebirth.
I think so. Yeah.
I know that there's some like stuff in between. Like there's some prequel stuff.
There's one DLC that came out for it with Yuffie.
Yeah.
And then there is the prequel that was Crisis Core
Yeah.
that they remade as well. Or no, they just updated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's basically Advent Children, right? The story.
no.
No. Oh, I thought Advent Children was a.
It ties into, like, Advent Children obviously is part of the Final Fantasy VII storyline, but it's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I have a uphill.
You got to
battle.
know about Zack is the thing.
Yeah, that's yeah. Zach is like the reason why everything kind of. He's the catalyst for a lot of. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so my cheers of the week is going to Schoolboy Q. He's back. My favorite member of TDE. Back with a new album, Blue Lips, coming March 1st. I love Schoolboy Q, and I don't have much to say in this cheers other than the fact that like the year has started off really hot. Like there's a lot of stuff I don't know if you saw my tweet, but like there's a lot of stuff that's supposed to be coming out. There's a rumored Mos Def album. Mm-hmm. There's Heems. If you ever listen to Das Racist, he's a guy's been around for a long time. He's got a new album. He basically semi-retired from rap for a long time, and then came back. So he's got a new album coming out. The Schoolboy Q album is coming out. I mean, there's just like a lot, hip hop is starting pretty hot. And ironically, that Killer Mike wins. He sweeps the Grammys.
Yeah.
And it's like this real hip hop, quote unquote, album. And you got all these people who are like, who's Killer Mike? And fuck this and blah, 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 blah.
All
and,
stands.
Yeah.
Stands came out the woodwork.
And it's just really funny that like, you get into this first quarter of the year and like all this real hippity hop stuff. And it's like, man, a lot of cool shit is about to come out in that same vein.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Not as good as Utopia.
Bro, not as good. Yeah. Who's Killer Mike? Name 5 Killer Mike songs right now.
Yeah.
So, the first couple of singles are already out. He's already got like cool like teaser videos for them and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I just can't wait, man. Just can't wait. I revisit Blank Face and even Crash Talk. Even Crash Talk's it's okay. It's not as good as, I mean, Blank Face is just an incredible album. Crash Talk is okay, but there's a couple of songs. There's some really high highs on Crash Talk. And to this day, I revisit those albums. So, man, can't wait. Blue Lips, March 1st. You're welcome for the free promotion. So,
Yeah.
that's that.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Let's talk about this beer.
Okay.
Tonight's brew was from Blake's Hard Cider Company. It was their, watermelon Heatwave.
You did that on purpose.
I'll just shake them up and toss them out the window. Obi, what'd you think of this cider?
I think I have a question.
Okay.
Why'd you do this to us?
Okay. This year is the year of getting weird. You like that? The year of weird. I think that we should, as we've talked about, get a little bit more esoteric, a little more outside of our box, a little more, we do some farmhouse stuff.
Sure.
Some beer de garde, some saisons, some sours. I mean, you brought a sour last week.
I did, yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
And I think that we should and could do more stuff that's outside of our comfort zone. So if you don't like to be challenged, then next week I'll bring an IPA.
Okay. That's fine. It's my week to bring a beer, but feel free.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I like the watermelon flavor. I really do. And that's what you get first. And I was like, oh, this is going to be actually really good. Refreshing, sweet, a little sour. And then that spice just creeps up in the back of your tongue. And I hate it. I hate that. Because it's like, it's like a switcheroo on you. I'd prefer almost if it was all spice.
Yeah.
Because that way you know what you're getting the entire time. It's like they give you something so beautiful and then just ruin it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's as bad as I'm saying, but that's how I felt in my heart.
Yeah.
When I first tasted it.
That's the only thing you can follow is your heart.
I wouldn't recommend this for anyone who has my palate. I mean, I do like the watermelon flavor. Maybe there is just a straight up watermelon version of this, in which case I would recommend that. But as it stands, I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
I mean, I hate to be. This is the
2.5 is middle of the ground. It's below that.
Okay.
It's a 2.
All right. Well, then that's where we can differ because I literally was going to say the exact same, almost verbatim what you just said.
Yeah.
It starts off delicious, like you said, refreshing. It's. I mean, I love watermelon, and it just was. It started off so good, and then that chili in the back, it doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't work. And with a real watermelon and real chili powder, a little bit of cayenne on a watermelon, great.
Yeah, or tahini.
Yeah. Ugh, come on, melon and tahini. But in a drink, I mean, I don't really like spicy drinks to begin with.
Yeah, same.
So, okay, I will say this. Given that fact, if you do like, say,
Spicy Marg,
Bloody Marys, you might dig this actually.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, if that's your wave, if that's your kick, you might like this.
And it's not super hot. I don't want to, make people.
No, it's not the heat level. It's just that it sits back there on the back of your tongue. It's the finish that it just lingers there. It's not hot. It just tastes like chili.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not refreshing. It makes you want to keep drinking but then you keep putting that fucking flavor in the back of your tongue. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I think the chili ruined it. And I'm sorry to these guys. I can tell that they're probably their other ciders are fantastic because this starts off really good.
Yeah.
The
watermelon's
base flavor of it is great. But that chili, man, just it's like watching somebody cook, and you're like, oh shit, that's mashed potatoes and this, and they're like making a chicken salad, and you're like, oh, they've got all the ingredients, and then they start dropping those raisins, and you're like, god damn it, You had it. It was going so well.
And you can't pick it out.
You can't pick it out.
Yeah.
You can't pick it out. You just got to deal with it. So I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, I wouldn't recommend this either.
Yeah.
But I would recommend it to people who, like we said, like those drinks that aforementioned flavor profile. But if you've been listening to the show long enough and you kind of understand what we like, if you know us in real life, or if you've listened to the scores and you hear like what stuff that we're digging and kind of formulate, oh, this guy likes this guy likes that, you can kind of give yourself a good idea of like if this is good for you or not.
Right.
If you are following my advice or Obi's advice, we do not recommend this cider.
No, unfortunately.
So, a 2 for you and a 2.5 for me.
That's right.
You think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then it's over. This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupa, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer or ciders and have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you.
This goes like a